Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Cluster API Provider AWS office hours on Monday, the 20th of February. Just a reminder that we abide by the CNCF Code of Conduct. So that basically means just be nice and respectful to each other. We'll follow the usual meeting etiquette, which basically means if you'd like to speak, please use the raise hand feature in Zoom. I've shared the meeting notes in the chat window. So these are the 2023. Our calendar invite is still not up to date. So yeah, make sure you add your name to the 2023 meeting notes and any agenda items. Let me just grab a few windows up just so I can see people. Cool. If this is your first meeting, we normally give a few minutes at the start of the meeting just for you to unmute if you want to and say hello, why you're here. And so, yeah, if anyone is new, I see a few new names, so feel free to unmute and just say hello if you want to.
Sure, I'll go ahead first, just so I can get over the introvert part. But hi, I'm Rudy. I basically handle infrastructure engineering for a company called Porter, where we essentially help people get off Heroku and have like the same open source workflow, but using services like EKS on top of their own clouds. And Cluster API is now something we're really kind of betting huge on, more so because we've been using Terraform for the longest time, and that comes with its own setbacks. Plus, as we see the world moving towards CAPI, we think we should ideally not get left behind. So yeah, I've been working with CAPI a lot, been working on integration points, also trying to understand how things are designed, like from a philosophical perspective. Probably also made a fool of myself on GitHub issues for the API provider for AWS, but we'll see.
Cool. Well, it's great to have you, Rudy. And I'm sure you haven't been making a fool of yourself. So yeah, welcome. Was there anyone else that would like to unmute and say hello?
Yeah, hello. This is Atharva. That because of the unsteady connection, I won't be able to show my face currently. So yeah, hello, I'm Atharva. I'm here because of the current LFX mentorship program, and I am interested in this whole project. So yeah, I just wanted to come here and say hello to everyone and just whatever I can with this meeting. So yeah, hello.
Cool. Well, yeah. Well, good to meet you, and yeah, welcome. We will after the testing probably talk about the LFX mentorship as well. So yeah, it was good that you joined. Cool. Anyone else would like to say hello? If not, we can.
Sure, I can say hello. I've been here a few times, but I'm still sort of new to this. I'm Cameron McAvoy, a software engineer on Indeed's platform team, and we use the Cluster API to run all of Indeed.com. So it's a little scary to say that.
Nice. Very cool to hear. Well, yeah, welcome, Cameron. Yeah, I've seen you here before, but yeah, it's good to say hello. Brilliant. So I need to just check on the action items. We didn't take any action items from the last meeting. So we'll move on to the agenda. So there are no PSAs this week. So we can then, we normally talk about any action items from the previous meeting, which was 2 weeks ago, but there were no action items again. Nice, short and sweet. So we can then move on to the agenda proper. And Gogo, you have the first agenda item on testing. Go for it.
Yes. So so I'm hoping the CloudFormation stack problem that we have right now hopefully will be resolved once Hippie will take care of removing that one thing from that one account that causes us some pain. And sadly there's an issue, a bug in all of the Go SDKs, the V1 and the V2 as well, that we can't remove a group unless it has a name. Like the API description, the JSON description contains another field where you can define a group by either an ARN or a name or an ID. But for whatever mysterious reasons, it's not part of the struct definition. So like the generated code somehow misses it. I don't know how. I created an issue on Go SDK on both the V1 and V2. Obviously, it has not gotten any kind of response yet. But nevertheless, I fixed the bug, which Ankita thankfully reviewed and approved a couple hours ago. So hopefully we won't be creating any more groups that do not have any names. So in the future, we are safe from this problem. But then we got the second issue, which now seems to be like consistently bad, is that no node is joining the control plane. And I looked at the events, the logs, the artifacts, I don't know, so many YAML files, like to dispute the cluster information, like cluster elements, cluster API objects. And it looks like it's waiting on Bootstrap data. That's the last thing it does before it times out. And that's where I'm at the moment. Like the node is hanging on waiting for Bootstrap data. And I don't have any more information from the cluster either. Like what's the pod status, what's the nodes describe, whatever. Ankita?
Yeah. So is the even bridge error has gone now?
Yeah, it seems like less. It looks like it's gone. I don't see any errors about that in the logs anymore.
Okay. Okay. Because I have not checked the recent failures, and I assume that it is still failing because of the even bridge errors. So okay.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks. That's fixed. I don't particularly see any like definitive errors that would explain why it's hanging on waiting for Bootstrap data. Like there is, and that's why I'm stuck. Like I have no idea what to do now, because there is no definitive error. I grabbed the cluster definition that it dumps and launched that locally with the namespace and everything, and with the authenticator and everything that it sets up, like a static credential and everything. I reproduced the whole environment locally and ran it like 5-6 times. Works every time. Fucking works. Sorry. Like, it would have been so nice if it failed. Then at least I could have debugged it. But no, it just works. I'm like, what am I supposed to do now? So it's rather frustrating. I don't know. I have no clue how to proceed.
So you're running basically the same test with the same arguments locally. It works, but it doesn't work in our end-to-end test environment. So does that? Because obviously that indicates it's environmental, because if we're using the same E2E test config, does that mean that we are then potentially swallowing or masking an error somewhere?
I don't know. I was thinking. So right now, if it's waiting for a Bootstrap data, if that is the last status, then it doesn't return any kind of error or doesn't requeue the object. It just says it sets that status to false, and then like stops reconciling the object. I haven't dug too deep into this yet. I didn't have the time. But Richard, do you know if it's reconciling at the moment there is any kind of condition change, I assume. I haven't looked at the predicates. I assume it would do that.
It should do, because we should be. So we should be watching on the obviously the cluster, so the CAPI cluster. So the bootstrap data in our instance is it? This is for I'm assuming the EKS, isn't it?
No, it's non-EKS. Like it's the plain end-to-end test.
So the QA, so the QADM provider then.
Yeah. The EKS cluster works. Like I haven't seen that failing in a while.
But we haven't changed anything in this area. That's the weird thing, isn't it? And we weren't having it. We weren't having this before the. It's a coincidence, but we weren't having this before the AWS account migration.
Yes, correct. So it might be something related to that, or I don't know. It could be some kind of version change somewhere which I am not running locally. Maybe. I don't know.
Well, I guess that's one thing to try, isn't it? So we could, I guess, check out the same tag for CAPI itself, because that's the thing, isn't it? This obviously indicating bootstrap data is ready.
Yes.
Yeah. No. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Sorry,
maybe.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if I think you're right. I wonder if there is a subtlety, is something that's changed. Yeah. That's a good point.
Because locally when I'm doing build up, I'm obviously using master main at that point on the cluster API side. So yeah, that's a possibility that it's using a tag that has some kind of problem. That's a good idea. We'll write it down.
I wondered if we also bump the version, the verbosity level of the CAPI logs within our end-to-end test, so we get more data into our logs.
Right. Yeah. Because right now it's just saying no instance joined, and then just error. So that's not very helpful.
I know we have an environment variable, don't we? We can set the CAPI log level or something that we can set in our E2E data config or E2E config file. So I wonder if CAPI has the same, so we don't actually have to mess around with manifests or anything like that. We're something to take it away, wouldn't it? Doesn't actually.
Right. So try the cluster API tag, a specific cluster API tag.
Yeah. How can we increase the CAPI logs, isn't it? So you were testing on main, not much in the specific release tag. Yeah, it's just a coincidence, isn't it, that it's at the same time as the AWS account migration, whether it is literally just a coincidence because we bumped, like you say, bumped the version number or something, or
yeah. So what was I haven't followed that thing too closely, too much work. But what was the account migration? What happened there?
So I think it just comes down to that they've migrated the accounts from somewhere like Google or VMware paying directly to the CNCF controlled AWS accounts, so community controlled basically.
So it's just a matter of switching hands.
Yeah, and who pays and where the money, where the bill comes from.
Account that means the environment should be the same.
Well, they're fresh accounts because it would have been a new master account, wouldn't it? So there would be fresh AWS accounts. So what they've done is migrated test infra to use new accounts.
Ooh, that could potentially be that something is not there that was previously there, and we relied upon and forgot to set up ourselves.
Yeah. Like we wouldn't have access to it now directly, so we'd have to.
Yeah.
Which is one of the reasons we added like the service quotas in there, the automatic, up in the service quotas number of VPCs. We added that originally because we didn't have access and we needed a larger number of VPCs and stuff like that. So yeah, you're right. It could be something that just so happened to be in those accounts that's no longer there because they're completely new.
But then why does it work for me? Like I have a relatively fresh account.
Relatively fresh.
Okay, it's a relatively fresh. It's a year old.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. You know what? Okay, let's say that I am going to create a new AWS account with a different email address, and then try it.
Yeah.
That should, that's an action item. Okay, so then try that. With the end-to-end test. And that will then at least close out that possibility that there is something missing from the account.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Or, a different problem is if they have any kind of what's its face, that thing where you can globally restrict certain items in the account unless they have like a tag or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't suppose they have something like that, but it doesn't hurt to ask, maybe.
Yeah, that'd be worth asking. I forgot what they're called. Not CSPs. Something policy, isn't it?
Yeah, policy. Yeah, something
yeah.
policy. Yeah.
Yes.
Service control policies.
That's it.
Nice.
I guess to work that out, we'd have to again ask in the test infra. Test Slack channel, but hopefully Hippie Hacker will be able to take a look at it. We might need to just ping on the thread again this week.
Yeah, definitely. It would be very weird if they had something like that, but still, it's worth asking.
Yeah.
And if they would, I would assume that something would fail during the cluster creation. But right now, it's just there is no error, at least none that I could find that seemed relevant.
But there's there's been a lot of improvements to the end-to-end test as a result of these failures, hasn't there? So like all that dodgy code around creating a stack and then deleting and all sorts of other places that you've done. So it has sort of been, the pain has been beneficial in a way. Well, not feel like it now.
Let's say it like that. Let's put it like that now.
Yeah.
Keep my sanity.
It's like people that build their own houses. Like when they're right in the middle of it, they're saying, I'm never doing this again. It's like the worst thing ever. And then about a month later after they're in, they're like, oh yeah, it's fine. I'll do it again. But yeah, cool. Yeah, I think that's a good idea, creating a completely fresh account. Because we should see all the errors that we've seen, like, oh, if we haven't got enough of VPCs, and then you run it again and the service request should have been actioned, and so we should be recreating everything that you've seen along the way.
Yeah,
I can, yeah, if you, I can also create an account if you want as well and run them.
well, if you have the time.
Wow, I'll quite go that far, but I'll massage some time somewhere. Share the pain. So yeah, I'll add that as well.
All right. I think that's all I had on that topic.
Cool. Alrighty, so the next topic is sort of related to what we've just partially been related to what we're talking about, which is the LFX mentorship program. So literally, I think tomorrow is the last day to get applications in. So I think they shut at the end of the 21st. And then there's a period of, I think, of 2 weeks while the applications are reviewed. But a lot of the pain that we're having, some of the pain that we're having with the CloudFormation stack side of things, and a lot of pain that our users have with the CloudFormation stack provisioning of the IAM stuff, will be solved by the mentorship program. So just to give for anyone that doesn't know, so we've tagged this issue, the rethink how we manage prerequisites in cluster AWS ADM. So at the moment where we do the create stack, and that basically just runs CloudFormation to create all the IAM related stuff. As part of the mentorship program, we want to rethink that, because we have the situation where people run or create the CloudFormation stack in different regions, even though IAM is global. And then we end up, and our users end up in an inconsistent state where they try to delete it from the wrong region, and it just causes a whole world of pain. So hopefully, as part of the LFX program, we're going to rethink how we do the prerequisites to how we create all this IAM stuff within cluster AWS ADM. So I guess for anyone that is interested in doing this, yeah, the applications will close tomorrow. So yeah, if you know anyone that would be interested in this, feel free to encourage them to apply. Did I put the link? Yeah, in the project here, via the Linux Foundation. You have to apply there. Ankita, I will speak to Nate to get you listed as well as a mentor. So it will be me and Ankita doing the mentorship, or the mentoring. That's the correct way, isn't it? And it lasts for a 3-month period from sort of 8th of March. Can't remember the exact date, for 3 months. So I think the plan is to do full life cycle. So actually start with the, I guess, learning of cluster, cluster API and Kappa, and then move on to design and implementation. So you sort of would treat it as a full life cycle proposal, implementation, release, if we do a release near the end. So yeah, anyone interested, feel free to apply. And I know if anyone is on the call that wants to ask questions, feel free to ask now.
Yeah, hello, this is Atharva again here. I did do a few research on this thing, but there's a basic question I had. How did this CAP-G or CAP-Z manage to deal with this, or was this previously implemented while designing the IAM stuff? Why CAP-A is currently facing this issue, and why are not the others facing the same?
Yeah, it's a good question. So every CAPI provider, so Kappa, CapG, CapZ, they have I guess their own requirements around prerequisites that's very specific to the cloud environment that the provider is targeting. So for Kappa, we target AWS. So most of our prerequisites are around permissions and the IAM, whereas something like CapG, it does still have some prerequisites. So you have to create a service account and things like that, but it's very specific to what they do. So none of the other providers run into this problem that we have necessarily. They'll run into their own problems, which might be different potentially. But we run into this problem specifically because how IAM works and how CloudFormation works, and the I guess the interaction of the two, and the misalignment, or the, I don't know how you, Goge or Ankita, you would describe it, but people assume that you can run it multiple times and it will be fine, but then they run it in different regions and it's not fine. So yeah, I guess there's mismatch in understanding. Does that help?
Yeah, totally. Thanks. I don't have AWS credentials, so I'm relying on most of the theory and books and the blogs. So, so that's kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So on that as well. So I feel like for CapG, for LFX, you get given access to a GCP account for the period of the mentorship. So we are trying to sort out the same thing for Kappa. So you're not expected to have your own AWS account. So yeah, we will be following up on that.
Yeah, sure. Thanks.
There we go. Cool. So that's the end of our normal agenda items. So normally at this point we pause recording or stop recording, and then if there's anything, we have this section called after hours. So if anyone wants any informal help with issues or PRs, they can ask questions. So I will go for it.
Yeah, no, sorry, this is after. I had something.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I will pause the recording and stay on if you want to talk about issues and stuff like that. If not, we'll see you again in a couple of weeks.